can jump into AI, or we can take a look at that new Sigma, man. It's either way.
All right, let me grab the Sigma.
Okay.
All right. Okay, and it has my face in focus. Oh, I should probably also mention this segment today is being shot on the Sony A7R III. Can you guys hear that out there?
Barely. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I closed the windows. I'm trying to do everything I can. I live in Woodside, Queens. It's sort of difficult sometimes to control what's going on outside. But either
Hmm.
way, I'm shooting with the Sony A7R III right now, and the 35mm f1.8 is on the camera. For some odd reason, I can't get it to do face detection autofocus right now. I don't know why. It usually can. Uh, but it's keeping my face in focus pretty okay right now. It's still beta firmware. Um, we'll just see what happens. The reason why I didn't upgrade to the 4, I just don't like the autofocus on the 4. I'm okay with the 3. And
Hmm.
Sony's not making exactly what I want right now anyway. But yeah, this is the lens.
Ooh, very
Yeah.
nice.
This is the 100 millimeter f2.8 macro uh, chapstick for comparison. So it's like one chapstick, two chapstick. It's like two chapsticks tall,
Yeah.
two
Not
and like a quarter, a cap or something
not
like
too
that.
bad.
Yeah, it's a. I found this out the hard way. 62 millimeter front filter thread.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
And I'm saying I found it out the hard way because I was sitting there photographing watches, and I'll show you guys those images in a bit. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm getting a lot of reflections off of this thing. Maybe I should put a polarizing filter on there because I don't
Hmm.
really like to do a lot of post production. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I wonder if this will take maybe 65 millimeter or 77. So I'm putting all those things on and I'm like, what's going on? Why isn't it working? And then I did some Googling and I'm like, oh, it's a 62 millimeter filter thread.
Gotcha.
So the good news about that is it means it's a pretty slim lens overall. Let me do this. So fixed bottle, look at that.
Yeah, it's pretty tiny.
Yeah, it's a pretty thin lens overall. It's also, two chapsticks long, as I just showed you
Hmm.
guys. So this is a pretty fascinating lens from Sigma. So I think it's the second prime where they have the aperture ring and then a lock on there for you to be able to say, oh, well, I'm going to lock it whether or not, whether I choose to. No, you're going to lock it so that you can operate the aperture through the dials here on the
Hmm.
camera. And you may notice I actually have this on a very old body right now. This is the original A7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I still own this camera. I still like it.
Hmm.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about the autofocus later on with this and the A7R III. And I'm probably going to blow your mind a little bit about it. But either way, so the ergonomics of the lens. So it's pretty large, as you can see in my hand. When I hold a camera with it, but it seems pretty comfortable this way. Like most of
Hmm.
your hand really grips the big rubber grip there. The only other thing would be the aperture ring, but in this case, I've really just set it to being controlled by the camera.
Hmm.
And then you've got a couple of controls over here. You have focus types like manual focus or autofocus. And then you have a function button over here. And then you have the focus limiter right down here.
Gotcha.
This lens does not have image stabilization built in. So you're going to have to rely on whatever's on your Sony camera body to get
Hmm.
that. The original Sony camera bodies do not have that. So in my case, I would have to shoot with a flash and hope that I get the stopping power of flash duration.
Hmm.
For anyone that doesn't know what that is, flash duration basically acts like a second shutter speed. So if there is 1/10,000th flash duration, it will basically have the stopping power of 1/10,000th of a second, which is pretty awesome, even though you'd probably be shooting at like 1/125th or 1/250th or something like that. Um, Build quality. This is built pretty well. I'd say that this is a metal, but I'm not totally sure. It could be that carbon composite thing.
Hmm.
that Sigma likes using. It's also weather sealed. You should keep that in mind. I
Good.
have not shot with this out in the rain yet, but I plan on doing so. Uh, we have rain later this week, so I'm going to take it out then.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm going to stop someone's video. Uh, Thank you, Andrew. Talking about build quality. There is this ring here that's mostly where you're going to be gripping onto. Um, that's really about it for build quality. That's really all that anyone really necessarily care about, except the fact that it's very lightweight as well too, and it is pretty well balanced. Obviously, it's a little front heavy. You know, when I sit there and I'm like trying to find the center of balance, it's probably like right around there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And that's right around where you'd put your hand anyway, like right around the
Hmm.
aperture ring. Yeah. Um, Crazy fact now, autofocus wise, on the A7R3, which has very good autofocus, in my
Yep.
opinion, and the original A7, they're almost neck and neck in autofocus speed.
Really?
Yes.
That's very surprising.
Incredibly surprising. And I'm like, wait a second, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I tried it again. I do this thing where I clean the lens contacts,
Hmm.
which is very important for a Sony camera. You know, you clean lens contacts with isopropyl alcohol, and then you clean the camera contacts. I tried it again, still same speed,
Wow.
pretty much. Not the same like intelligence, because like the Sony will sit there, the A7R3 will sit there, look at a scene, and be like, okay, fine. He probably wants to focus on this for when you're focusing on your keyboard or something
Hmm.
like that. The A7 original does not have that level of intelligence, so to speak. So the autofocusing speed is pretty much the same otherwise when you're like manually selecting a point, and that's blowing my mind. I'm gonna have to do a lot more tests with it, uh but that's what I'm finding so far. Either
Yeah.
way, it is pretty fast, at least for what you would expect for a macro lens and focusing at macro ranges. Now, I'm not focusing on anything that's like a moving subject. I don't think I would do that with a lens like this anyway,
Hmm.
because you have such a wide range of autofocusing range. Like you have infinity down to like super close, 0.295 meters.
That was going to be one of my questions is like, what's the throw like on that manual focusing ring? Because for a macro lens, that's super important to be able to have like, minute control.
So the other day when I was focusing to infinity and then trying to bring it all the way back, it took about and I was doing this, right?
Hmm.
So I'm doing this. It took about maybe 6 seconds to get all the way through.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's me manually doing it once again.
Hmm.
If you're automatically doing it, like you're relying on the camera, it's probably going to sit there and like scan the entire scene and then try to figure out what you want.
Yeah.
The focus limiter is very important for this thing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Um, I mean, otherwise it would probably drive me insane. It really would. So yeah. So we talked about the build quality. We talked about the ergonomics. We talked about the autofocus.
Hmm.
Otherwise, in terms of ease of use, you know, you can put it on a camera and set this to A mode and just control it the way you would a normal Sony lens. Some of us do like to use the actual aperture ring on the lens, so you can unlock it using the switch here, and then you can just use it this way.
I'm
Um,
guessing the aperture ring isn't declickable.
it is actually. That's a great point. I forgot about that. You can set it up here
Ah,
and then like declick right
very
there.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then when I do this again, you might be able to hear the clicks.
Yep. Definitely can.
Yeah. So that's important for video shooters, and also like if you want to be super stealthy and you have like daredevil hearing the way I do. But yeah, I mean otherwise the biggest thing to keep in mind for the ease of use is you really need to remember the focus limiter,
Yeah.
or else you're going to be driven insane by this thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's a characteristic of many macro lenses out there as well. So.
Yeah. So I used this in a couple of different situations. I went out with one of my best friends the other night. Every Friday night we go out for food, and I was
Mhm.
just like, okay, let's try this in a restaurant. And the servers came over and they were like, "Hey, are you guys like Instagrammers?" And we're like, "No, no, not at all. We're journalists." But like we also just like go out every week. And she recognized him because he went there with his family the other day, and they didn't believe us. They were like, "Oh, okay." So they gave us all this extra food instead. So we're sitting there, and I'm like, "Okay, fine. I'm gonna see if I can actually focus on this food." And for the most part, I did. And with the built-in image stabilization that's on the A7R3, I did a pretty good job. I got
Mhm.
some blur down to like 1/50th of a second, but like it's possible. It's just
Yeah,
tough sometimes. All right,
absolutely.
let's show you guys these images. Okay, Brett, can you see this?
Yes, I sure can.
Okay, cool. So this is it's this goat dish. We went to like this Indo-Chinese place.
Mhm.
And this was shot at a 1/40th of a second ISO 6400 at f2.8. And when you zoom all the way in, you'll notice that like it's still fairly in focus. There is no camera shake.
No, it
Uh,
looks nice and sharp. Yeah.
yeah. And there's beautiful bokeh. You can tell that,
Mhm.
of course, but you know, you gotta expect that in macro range anyway. This is where I didn't really get the focus perfectly, but I was just like, all right, fine, you know, I'll do this and I'll keep eating. It focused over here, and by my luck, it also got this little piece of tofu in focus and this goat over here in focus, but it didn't
Yep.
get the chicken Manchurian over here in focus. And then this was like a sort of like a fritter. But either way, I mean, you're getting the idea that it's sort of really difficult to do this at macro ranges under low light. But I
Yeah,
mean,
I was
go
going to
ahead.
say it's really difficult at f2.8 100 millimeters anyway. Just to
Yeah.
nail that focus. So that's actually really pretty good for being handheld.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you know, if I had a flash, I think it would be better, but I'm not those types of people that would sit there and bring like a flash or like a lighting tent to a restaurant. I think it's disrespectful.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Yeah, I've seen those guys on Instagram. I'm just like, guys, don't, please don't.
Same.
This is a knife that I keep around my office. I
Oh wow.
focused like right around there.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, nailed it right there. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
This is another knife. Now, check this out. So, originally, I was testing this on the Panasonic S5.
Hmm.
And for some odd reason, I had this weird problem. Brett, it makes no sense. I called our Sigma rep, and they're like, this makes no sense either. So I had to send
Huh.
the LMAT version back, and they sent me the EMAT version. Check this
Okay.
out. So I put this on the S5, right?
Hmm.
And for some odd reason, it didn't totally recognize the lens. It was like, okay, you need to set the camera to shoot without lens mode, which makes no sense
What?
because it's L mount
Yeah.
and Panasonic is natively L mount. So
Hmm.
that happened. And then after that, the S5 thought that this was a 4/3 lens, so it changed the cropping from 3.2 to 4/3.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, it made no sense. I think it's maybe like a pre-production firmware update, even though I have
Hmm.
a production version of the lens. And I mean, the Panasonic firmware is coming out later this month, but it still sort of makes no sense because they're both L mounts.
Yeah, yeah. It should have just been recognized immediately.
Totally. But it couldn't nail the focus the way the Sony has and the way it has over here. Like trying to get the screw in focus,
Hmm.
it was very difficult and couldn't be done. So then I tried it on the S1 just to make sure that the S5 wasn't going crazy. The S1 did not have those problems, but the S1 almost molasses slow with autofocusing.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So when I told our rep, they were like, all right, you know what? Send that unit back to us. Maybe it's a faulty unit. We'll send you an
Hmm.
EMOUNT version. So now I'm using the EMOUNT version, and this shot was actually done with the EMOUNT. This is
Gotcha.
f2.8.
That looks nice.
Yeah, it is really nice. Actually,
Yeah.
let me see if I can zoom in more. Yeah, you can sort of get like a detail of like a hair on the
Yep, I can
screw.
see that definitely.
Yeah. So let's move out of that. Am I totally out of it? Yes, I am. Okay, cool. Um, so then I decided, all right, fine, I'm gonna mess around. I'm a watch collector as well too. So I'm just like trying to sit there, like experiment with different scenes. This watch is older than both of us combined. It's from World War One.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm just like messing around with scenes, like messing around with stuff that's typically very masculine. So I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, fine, there's whiskey there, there's a pipe there, all that kind of stuff. And I know that a lot of folks do like watches, so because there's so many intricate details with them.
I love the detail
Yeah,
on that right there.
this is at f5.6.
That's nice.
Yeah, so these were all shot with a Profoto B10. Some of them in an umbrella, some of them bounced off of like a card, and some of them just like bare flash.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
These are just single images. They're not stacked in any way, right?
correct.
Okay.
Great point to point out. And these are also shot on the A7R3.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So here's what I was talking about, where I really wanted a polarizing filter.
Hmm.
Um, some of these are shot with this other filter that Hoya makes. It's called like a color intensifier, and it will sometimes intensify purples. And that's
Okay.
why I was getting like this purplish blue tint on the images.
Hmm.
Yeah. We have nothing in the chat, by the way, right? No comments, no questions.
No, we sure don't.
Okay. Let me check Facebook really quickly. Let me see if anyone has anything. No, they do not. Okay, cool. Going back. So this is the watch. You can see like a lot of the details on it. Could have been even better if I had a polarizing filter, but no.
Definitely. But
Yeah.
this
So
picking up a lot of detail though.
yeah, I mean, so I changed it up. I put it right next to the whiskey to get like this really nice color tint, and I
Hmm.
took the intensifier off. So I still got a lot of detail. Like you can see like the wear on like the 4 and the 3 and like the stars and stuff like that. And then you can even see it. Let me zoom in. You can even see it on the hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I like those colors this lens is producing too.
Yeah, they are really nice. These were
They're
shot in
pleasing.
yeah, auto white balance. Decided
Oh
to get the
wow.
crown. Yeah, this is at f8. For anyone that doesn't know, at macro ranges, you really do have to stop down because the depth of field is so incredibly thin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now is this is a 1-to-1 reproduction lens
Yes, it is.
for macro? Gotcha.
Yeah. So moving away from that, moved over. Oh, we have something in the chat. Let's see what we have. Sanjay saying, I don't do much macro. What is the focusing distance on this watch? That was a great question. I think it was basically the minimum focusing, which is 0.295 meters, according to what Sigma says. Let me confirm that. Yeah, 0.295 meters. Yeah. And then I was deciding, I'd try to shoot something a little bit more broad in terms of a scene. I'm a big Mont Blanc fan, so I have my watch and my pen over there.
And I really like this scene right here. It looks great.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Hmm.
Uh,
Wow.
this watch also has a whole lot of detail. But
That is insane.
yeah, this is what I was really wondering about. I really think that manufacturers should either start putting polarizing lenses built into their sensors or polarizing lenses built into their lenses.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something I think they could look at for sure.
Yeah, but like, you got a whole lot of detail. So this was standard, and then this was +1 EV on the flash output. And like, let's go in real close.
That is beyond sharp.
Yeah, this is at f8 as well too. Um,
That's really great.
Again, if I had a polarizing filter, it would be even sharper.
Yeah, for sure. And you cut all that glare out and everything good. Yeah. But that's
Yeah,
really impressive with no polarizer.
yeah, no, I agree with you. Completely agree with you about that. This watch is a reissue of the one that Arnold Schwarzenegger used to wear in all of his 80 movies.
Gotcha. Very nice.
Yeah, and I decided to play around with water to see like if I could get stuff on like the specular highlights. This is a knife that I had in the army. This is another pipe. So I was getting really in close. And some of these have post production, some of these don't.
Mm-hmm. Man, these look fantastic.
Yeah,
they really
cool.
do.
This is a Timex I bought recently just because I've been trying to get into chronographs, and like this is it for me. Again, all these details, like, pretty insane. I went a little bit too fast there.
Really capturing a lot of stuff right there.
Yeah. Going back to that. This was actually pretty cool as well too. Like, even though I'm saying I need a polarizing filter, like even with water on here, like you're still getting a whole lot of detail. Like, let me move in even more. Like, you can still see everything pretty clearly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like there's like that mist filter or whatever, the haze filter they call it.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah.
Man, these are fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm really, really liking these.
Yeah, this is f8 as well too. I mostly kept it at like f8, f5.6. Sometimes I did like 2.8. Yeah, this is f8 once again. This is that knife I was talking about earlier with the screw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like even like the strap, like you're getting a whole lot of detail.
Yeah, you can almost see the individual fibers on that.
Yeah. Especially there.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. I like the colors once again. I think they do a really good job there. This, I think, yeah, this was edited. I can see that in the naming there. I probably did this knowing me, like I tried to edit the green channels and the orange channels to make this pop even more.
Yep.
Yeah. Still, you got a whole lot of detail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be playing with this more. I'm gonna stop the share here. So overall, I mean, I think this is a good lens. I have a lot of tests to do with this still. I want to test it outside with the A7R3 in the rain, first off. I want to get like, you know, there's this pine tree right in front of me. I want to get like that very like typical shot of like morning dew or like morning rain coming off of the pine cones and stuff like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that could be really cool. I'm probably going to do more food, maybe some coins, I don't know. But like, I mean, watches to me, I think feel really right for this lens. I'll probably play around with some other stuff. I also think I'm going to do a little bit of portraiture with this lens. I do think that's important, although I do think also that Sigma does have better portraiture lenses. They have a 135, they have a 85. But Sigma was saying in our meeting that, you know, this can also be a fantastic portrait lens. So I'm going to have to give that a shot. Otherwise, I mean, you know, it's so far a nice lens. It is under $1,000, I believe.
That's impressive.
I
thought it was going to be slightly more than that.
Let's check that out. I think it's less than that actually. Sigma 105 millimeter. It is. Come on, cool. You are. Yeah, it's $799.
That's a heck of a deal.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. It's $799.
F2.8 constant aperture.
Constant aperture, f2.8, single prime lens, weather sealing, no image stabilization, super lightweight, super small. Yeah, you're getting a bargain with this lens. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's a great price. Razor sharp too, from what we can see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, also the autofocus is pretty good. I have to do more tests because again, with the A7 original and the A7R3, the autofocus speed is almost the same, and that makes no sense.
Yeah, that blows my mind.
Yeah, I'm gonna try this. So I have it on right now, right?
Yep.
I'm going to shoot at f 2.8, and I'm going to try to see if I can focus on the Sony label up there, Sony logo up there. Let's see how long it'll take. Maybe I should. What's going on here? Oh, exposure preview is on. Okay, I got it. Hold on, wait, let me do this again. So I'm going to go all the way to, no, sorry. I'm going to go all the way to the least focusing. Yeah, I have autofocus preview on. That's what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try to focus on the Sony label. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi. 8 seconds from minimum focusing of 0.295.
Yeah.
I feel like I was a little fast in my Mississippis, though. So let me do that one more time. Let's see what'll happen. So, okay. Brett, you want to do this to be fair?
Sure.
All right.
Here we go.
I'm going to start.
3,
1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Got it.
8. 8 seconds.
Actually, no. That makes no sense. That was 5 seconds because I did 1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. You were counting in 1, 2, 3. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Around 5 seconds. So we're gonna have to do more tests, obviously.
Yeah.
Also, what I should tell everyone, and I've told people this before, exposure preview. I almost never use it, but I was using it with this just because I was walking around with it at night and it just made more sense. It will significantly slow down your autofocus speed.
Mm-hmm.
And I've confirmed that with Sony reps, I've confirmed that with Canon reps, and I've confirmed that with Panasonic reps as well too. So typically I wouldn't use it. Let's be fair. Let's take it off of autofocus, of exposure preview rather. And that's also one of the reasons why all these camera companies are saying, oh yeah, we focus down to -5 EV. It's because people are just using it in autofocus exposure preview. Exposure preview rather. Setting effect is off. Okay, cool. And now I'm going to manually choose a focusing point instead of putting it in auto. Put it in center. And let me try this again. Ready? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. 2 seconds.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So now I'm going to focus all the way to the minimum again. And now we're going to try this again. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8. 8 seconds.
Interesting.
Yeah. From minimum to all the way over there. And that's like that's like an arm length. So maybe like
a couple feet, maybe?
Yeah, a couple feet. 2.5 feet, 3 feet. Yeah, either way, I mean, we're going to have to do more tests. Nothing's definitive yet. And again, this is the original A7. It might be different with the A7R3, but I'm finding almost comparable autofocusing speeds. So, yeah. Any questions before we wrap this up? Doesn't look like we have anything in the chat. Let me check Facebook. Doesn't look like there's anything on Facebook. You got anything for me, Brett?
No, I don't think so. I'm excited to see what else you can get out of it.
Yeah, all right, cool. Then in that case, we have wrapped this segment up.